We did it. Welcome to season 2 of Visual Novel Book Club.
Yeah.
Yay!
We got renewed for another season, everyone.
We did. I'm your pal Slowbeef. With me is our good friend Devious Vacuum.
Hello.
Our good friend Pullahoko.
Hey, hey.
Our good friend Jim.
Hi there.
We are down Ty Tuesday. He didn't come back for the second season.
Oh.
We were gonna replace him, but then fuck him.
Yeah,
was
they were
dead
going to bring
anyway.
Uncle Joey in, but we decided to just scrap that.
Yeah, no, and glad we did, because all right, but this time around we have a different visual novel, and it's by Christine Love. It's called, what's the name of it? Analogue, a hate story,
Yes.
I believe. Yes. Does anybody know the history of this? Want to talk about that?
It's recent. It is, when was it? 2012? Something like that.
Okay.
Not that long ago. And it was very popular. That we hope to play the expansion / sequel Hate Plus afterwards, and that's the exciting part. So folks at home, we were making a list of what we wanted to play, and I put on the list Analogue, a hate story, and one of the descriptors I put there is bake a cake in real life. And that was basically what sold Slowbeef on the whole thing. So, just so you know,
bake.
that's where we're going.
Are we all going to make the cake?
You know, you can decide.
I'm gonna make the cake at least. We'll
I
find
thought
out,
I wouldn't
guess.
want to, but, like, now I kind of do. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe at the end of every episode, we'll update on who we would make a cake for, which characters in the story we would be willing to make a cake for.
Those of you who want to play along, Analogue is available on Steam for $9.99, I believe.
And if you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to play this or not, if you've been waiting to play it, like, even after this first session, go buy it and play it. It's really good. It's not ever 17.
No, it's not. At least not yet. We're not that deep into it. And if you do want to read along with us, this episode covers up until you are interrupted. Specifically, with a dialogue box, which I believe is on the order of, I hate to interrupt you, but, which is what we're right up to, and we'll be discussing. So, this is by Christine Love, and I believe it's sort of a follow-up, but not necessarily a sequel to a previous work called Digital: A Love Story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is where you can see the name. But apparently this is a few hundred years later, and you don't need Digital: A Love Story to understand things from Analogue, a hate story.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Although I haven't played digital either.
Mm-hmm. I guess one other thing we should note about this visual novel is that there are very many Korean names in it.
Yes.
Very many Korean characters in it as well. So, you're gonna hear at least me butchering the fuck out of that, so I'm gonna apologize in advance. Please feel free to tweet or use YouTube comments to tell me, how I've mangled all of this.
I mean,
But-
aren't your fans kind of used to this at this point? I mean, you know, Mario.
Mario is a New Jersey dialect thing. I'm sorry.
It really is.
And it is.
We grew up knowing only people named Mario. We didn't know anybody named Mario.
It's true. Like, you meet actual people with that name, and they say that, and it's like, what is everyone talking about? And god damn it, and then they show you katakana, and you're like, no, that Mario's not a Japanese name. You can't do that. It's a loan name. I don't know that that's a thing, but it is. Well, I guess, but without further ado, you want to get into it?
Well, Turbo C has entered the call. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh my god, Turbo C entered the
Whoa,
call. What the
whoa.
hell?
Right at that exact time.
Turbo C is just Kool-Aid Man through the wall into the podcast.
Impeccable
It's an-
timing.
Welcome. I'm so
With
glad
no
you're
jump
here to
cuts or anything.
No, nothing. It's like you were here the whole time, and we just made no mention of it for the first 5 minutes.
Just like a
It is
visual
good.
novel.
You were like 5 minutes late, but it was perfect timing because we really were just about to actually talk about the game and like what we're reading and stuff
Oh,
like
I'm
that.
sorry.
No, I said you had perfect timing. It's great. You didn't ruin a thing. So let's So, and just one last thing before we start. Does anyone have any experience with this story at all? Like, read it before or anything like that?
I
No.
have watched a little bit of a stream of this game, so like some of the stuff is familiar to me, and of course I heard about Hate Plus and the romance options in Hate Plus, which led to the whole cake thing and the suggestion, but we'll keep it vague.
Yeah, I've not heard of any of that. I don't know what you're referring to about that. But.
I'm sort of vaguely familiar with Christine Love's games, but and just like sort of skimming this just to make sure I've on the right stopping point, but basically no knowledge of this beforehand.
All right then. In that case, let's begin at the beginning. When you started this game up, you're given like kind of, if I remember correctly, like an introductory screen, more or less, like with a text kind of crawler, I guess, or slowly revealing.
Yeah,
text.
like some friend or something says, "Hey, I got a job for you."
Yeah, like a mission briefing.
It's gonna
Right.
be easy.
Very easy. Where apparently they found a ship out in space, and here's where it begins. I believe it's called the Mugunghwa or the Mugunghwa. It's Mugunghwa.
Mugunghwa.
And
Yeah, I was saying Mugunghwa, but I'm pretty sure it's damn wrong.
I think I
I'm
got
not
the
even gonna
Mugunghwa
try.
okay, but
I'm debating
just
whether or
that-
not we should just use nicknames through this entire thing.
We don't have to refer. We can just call it the ship.
that's true.
There's
too.
not another ship, so.
Yeah, exactly. So they find the ship, and I think our job is to interface with an AI named Mute. And one thing should be noted too, that the AIs in the AI in this game has a prefix of an asterisk, but that's just to denote it's an AI. So we're supposed to talk to Star Mute or Bookmark or EndNote Mute, whatever, and I guess find out what happened to the ship. And when the game starts proper, we're dropped at sort of like a terminal prompt, or you might know as a bash prompt or a DOS prompt or something like that, like a shell prompt.
I tried to fork bomb it, nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Of course, it's not a real shell, but you get you get some commands, and they're kind of Unixy and such. And I think one of them is like download logs or something like that. And that doesn't work. And they tell
you do have the option to SU. You have the option
Yes.
to sue, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, most
Right,
of the
and for the-
options don't work except help and enable AI, I think is the only other one. Everything else
So
says
those-
you need sue privileges.
Right, and for those of you at home who don't know, this is old Unix terminology. SU is super user. It means let me do something privileged, or it's kind of like when Windows prompt, like you do that whole like run as administrator type of
Yeah.
thing in Windows. It's
But
like the
much more able to ruin your own computer.
yes, yeah. Unix lets you fuck your own computer pretty easily.
So you enable the AI. There is an AI available, but it's not Mute. It's
No.
Hune A. And I'm only going to be able to say Hune A a couple more times before I start saying Honey, because I keep calling her Honey, and I feel like that's okay. That is my name for her because I love her, and her name is Honey. I love my new AI girlfriend, and her name is Honey. She's very
Honey?
nice.
Hane, which you told me how to pronounce that. You said it's kind of like a sort of sassy version of honey, like Hane.
Yeah, so I have different. So the pronunciation guide in the game would imply that it was Hune, but then I talked to a person who likes K-pop a lot, and he said that it was more like Hane or Hyane. So I'm gonna call her Honey.
For the folks at home, it's spelled or romanized as HYUN-AE. From the little.
If we spell
research-
every name, the people are gonna stop listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I won't do that, but I'm just, I don't know.
It's a prominent character.
Yeah, she is, and yeah. So
I'm sorry, Christine. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay,
We'll
fine.
just apologize directly to Christine Love every time we say a name out loud.
Maybe if
She's
we
not-
send her a
she's not
formal
listening to
apology
this.
letter, she'll give us an achievement.
I think we're far beneath her. At any rate,
So Honey is has been stranded on this ship for like hundreds and hundreds of years as some sort of. She's just an AI. We don't know what she can control other than the logs that are on the ship, and she's very excited to talk to someone because she's just been running on this abandoned ship for hundreds and hundreds of years, and so she's like, "Oh, let me help you." She wants to be really helpful, and is very sweet, like for really no reason, and we get access to data logs that she has, and so first she is like, "What's your name?" or introduce yourself, and you get a prompt, and it says, "Oh, the language parsing system is broken, so we can't interface with her via typing, so we have to interface with her via dialogue choices."
A nice little touch though is they actually give you a text prompt to type your name in. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this looks like gibberish to me."
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's a nice little thing.
It's cool. It's a nice little bit of realism that, it's not necessary, but it's cool that
I like the
It
way
helps
it's
your
being
immersion.
presented so far. It's an interesting kind of way to, I guess, put the whole thing into perspective.
it makes it feel almost like more real. And she's like acknowledging that, like, "Oh, this isn't the best way to communicate, but this is all I have." And so she's trying to help. So Honey's trying to help us look at the data logs, which I guess are all people's personal writings that are left over from this ship. And what the Historical Society that contracted us, what they want is for us to get 100% of the logs and give it to them. And so the first thing that I did, so then we're just sort of left to peruse the documents, which are separated into blocks, and the blocks are numbered. And there's also some helpful notes, which has a family tree of all the different characters in the game, and another entry called "A Cliche to Remember," and this was the first thing that I read. So the cliche to remember is, "Men are honored, women are abased."
That's right, yes.
Which is a great sign, team. Wow. I'm ready for some great content.
I've been hearing silence for the past couple of minutes. I don't know about the rest of you, but sorry.
I did immediately try and use that as the password to get super user privileges. Did not work, just FYI, but...
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 didn't work either.
But yeah, they do
Y'all
let
are
you go
already
back...
trying to hack.
They do let you go back into the bash prompt to try other things, even though at this point nothing seems to work except talking to Honey.
Nay. I'm just kidding, I don't know. I'm just doing that to be obnoxious.
What did y'all read first? Did you just start at the beginning, or just random?
I kind of skipped around because I didn't realize at first that you're not presented all the logs at once. You're given like a choice of one log in between logs like 4, 5, 9, and 10, I believe, something
4,
like that.
6, 9, and 10.
Yeah. 4, 6, 9, and 10.
Yeah,
and you can read one of the logs inside each of those blocks, and you have the option of asking Honey to give you more information about what you read, and then that's the way more more logs are revealed.
So yeah, it's like you get 4. I guess maybe you could think of them like directories in a way, like 4, 6, 9, and 10. It's hard to know what topic they cover because at the start of the game, only one article in each, and they're like small, like 3-pagers.
Yeah, they're not
open.
anything huge.
Right, and like you say, yeah, like you can show any of them to Honey, and she'll unlock others.
I'm really glad that y'all immediately have taken to what I've been calling this character without even questioning me. Thank you for supporting our relationship.
And you're gonna, yeah. So, all right. So I didn't quite catch at first that you could unlock more by giving it to Honey. So I just went 4, 6, 9, 10 at first. And then when I realized that I did block 4, but then I did another block. So,
and just for a quick,
and then
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say for a quick second. The first thing I did was the helpful hints, and there's just a couple I don't know if we want to talk about what's in there because there's a couple spoilers, but there's also a couple like things that we can mention. And I think one of them is the fact that everybody, if there's a family tree in there, where everything terminates at 322.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The year,
yeah.
I think the year that this takes place in the game's like interface UI is like 922.
Yeah, I believe it's been like 600 and something years.
Yeah, 600.
They said it at some point.
Yeah, they gave you the day total.
And what's interesting though is that the ship mentions at a point when they, not to get too far ahead, but they like reset the years at some point and they start calling it like year one at some point on the ship's journey.
Yeah, the logs only go back to year one, and something happened before that, but that's not what we're here to find out. We're here to find out what happened in 322.
Yeah.
I think
that's right.
I kind of remember, didn't the introduction sequence your buddy say it was a ship from like the 2000s or something like that?
Yeah, he does, but I don't know if that means between the period between like 2000 and 2010 or 2000 and 2000 or 3000.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's got all the kind of trappings of this being like a future sci-fi world.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Well,
all that kind of
I think
stuff.
the spaceship and the AI kind of gave that away.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But interestingly, for such a sci-fi story, I started with Block 4, which, did everybody start with that first one, that first story about the four brothers?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
A pack of idiots.
Right, and it does not read like a sci-fi log at all. But this is the story of Daihun, or Daehun. The son, they're all, what the hell is it called? Let me look this up real quick. It's like A Pack of Idiots is the name of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And
the author is Smith Kyung-sam.
Yeah, Smith Kyung-sam, right.
And he's complaining about
that's right.
How the sons of the Kim family leader are worthless and that they're the reason that this all went to hell. And he describes the three brothers: the oldest brother who likes sex, the middle brother who's dumb, and the youngest brother who drank himself to death at 30. So
wait.
So far his story checks out.
Yeah, no.
I thought there were four.
No, I think it's I think it's three brothers, and that's the other branch of the Smith family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's in the Smith family.
There's a lot of
brothers.
cousins.
Yeah, but there's Sangjung, who's the drunk who drank himself to death at like 30. Sangmin is the one who I had in my notes trolling for booty.
So if you're having trouble covering all the names because of it's a different language, I also introduce you with a whole bunch right off the bat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And because they're family, all the three brothers, all their names start with Sang because they're brothers.
Right.
And there's a thing. So I don't know.
Right.
It's not that bad. I thought it was worse, but really taking notes made it a lot more clear.
As your first probable story in it, when you see the three brothers and then the cousin like Sangjung, Sangju, Sangmin, and there's three. I wrote Sangyu. Anyway, that part I was like, oh boy, and if you have just like a notebook with you or something, it's not hard at all.
And the first log is all the way back in 315, which so we're way before 322 when everything goes to hell. And I think this is one of the earliest logs, and it starts with the funeral of the youngest brother in the Kim family.
It's oldest, I think.
The one that died. The funeral of the youngest one. The youngest one's the one who drank himself to death. Right?
Hold on, isn't it the Smith family?
Or the Smith family?
I thought it was the Smith family
Smith.
that was
sorry,
looked down on.
It's Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
So like there's two families. There's like the Kim family and the Smith family, and what I'm getting is the Smith family is like the one that's everybody kind of looks down on because
No, it's the other way. The Smith family is the one that was in power, and the Kim family started out not in power, and then the Kim family was in power by the time everything went to hell.
Yeah.
The two most influential families are the Smiths and the Kims.
There are others, but the Kim and Smith is the ones that
so we start
everything
with,
seems
with
to focus
Smith
on at
family.
least.
Smith family drama.
Kyung-sam in this log is basically just bemoaning the fact that he feels like the Song brothers, who are the sons of Daehyun, are just complete idiots and just ruining the family name, and laughably this funeral where Who is it who drank? Sangjung drank himself to death. They kind of got the doctor to certify that it was a death by natural causes, which he thinks is laughable and everyone's going to see through. So he's like...
Yeah, they're trying to make it look like the guy didn't drink himself to death, trying to salvage a little bit of the name.
So we already have this society set up as a society that cares a lot about honor and appearances, and we have two big families, and there's obviously a lot of secrets that happen in these very powerful families. So we're already setting stuff up for drama.
Yeah,
and and the tone is not at all what you'd expect from a sci-fi log.
No. Normally when you're scavenging these ships that are floating out in space, you've got alien pods, giant spiders, and this kind of plays out like almost a feudal drama.
Really does. It reads like actual 315 instead of whatever their space state 315 is.
Yeah.
Right.
So the next log, so then if you keep going down, there were 4 in block 4, and the next one is Contempt, which is written a couple days later, after the first log, and it's written by Sojin. I keep looking at this pronunciation guide, and she is the wife of the eldest brother Sangmin, and she is writing to talk about Kyongsam coming to visit them and complaining exactly like he does in his writing about how they've dishonored everyone and all this stuff, and she's like, well, he was complaining that Sankyu didn't even show up, but he was there, this asshole just didn't see him, and he's like, so it immediately recasts Kyongsam as just kind of a jerk who is getting worked up over this funeral and cares more about honor than this man's life, versus the family, the direct brother and sister-in-law, are more somber about what has been going on. But she also, since she is the wife of the oldest brother that Kyongsam said, oh, well, he likes whores, she says, oh, well, he's off with Jangmi, and I'm like, okay, so he does actually, though, he is doing that, okay, and she's cool with it. I mean, that's fine. We still don't know if we're in the far future or the far past.
Right.
And then the mother of the matriarch of the Smith family comes out and yells at Kyongsam and is like, she stares at him angrily and he backs down.
She delivers an awesome smackdown, and by the way, the mother-in-law is my new favorite character in this thing because it's a wicked. It's so wicked.
Yeah, and then there's another thing. Then there's another log in block 4 from Kyongsam where he talks about his son, and he kind of believes his son could maybe bring the Smith family back to honor, or back to its former graces, maybe.
Yeah, and his son is telling him to also kind of sit the fuck down, kind of be like, dude, calm down, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it sounds like you have to lead by example, rather than just yelling and stuff. You know what I mean? Set a good example for everyone. So yeah.
And to Kyung's credit, he kind of realizes oh yeah, you know what, my son probably is the one who's got the right idea here. He kind of recognizes that he's out of line.
Mm-hmm.
And that the only hope they have is this kid.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's setting that up as a problem, and then the final log is all the way forward in 322, January of 322, where Kyongsam is writing, and he reports that Sangmin has been fired from his job, and the Smiths have been unseated from power, and the Kims are on the rise. And in the other log, I think this was about the magistrate, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, this is it, it's all going to hell, we're not gonna be a big deal anymore, and he leaves things up to his son to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And considering how everything ended in 322, I would guess that didn't go well.
I would guess that too. Just a note, too, for the folks at home, the way Block 4 is arranged, it seems like it's in chronological order, and the stories that get unlocked after the first one are, like, the first 3 and the last one, so there's, like, a visible gap, if that makes any sense. Like, you see, like, 3 rows for the first 3 stories.
There are clearly missing entries.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And those will probably be unlocked, but that's, like, kind of leads into how the last story is opened, and that's the one that takes place in 322, you know, like this.
Yeah. So block 4 seems to be all stuff about the Smith family.
Yep.
The next block that I clicked on was block 6.
Yeah, same here.
So block 6 has one message in it, and it is to Kyung-sam Smith from Mute, the AI that we are supposed to be talking to, and it happened in the year 321. And when you read it, Mute is writing to Kyung-sam, and she's like, I don't know why I have to write this because I'm a robot, but I'm writing it to you anyway. And she's like, he's concerned about all the focus being put on a character named the Pale Bride. And she's saying, you know, you're suspicious of the Pale Bride, you're calling her a troublemaker, but there's nothing in her behavior that would imply that. Like, she's totally, like, she's so perfect that, you know, it's a little weird, but like, I guess Mute being the security software for the spaceship, you know, she can't detect anything that's going wrong with this, with how this woman is behaving. And if you check the message, if you go talk to Hyune, then she says, "Oh, don't look at that one," and deletes it.
Immediately, yeah.
And that's the point where I started being very suspicious of Honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, doesn't delete it. She notices, oh, wait, that's by Mute. I don't know what that's doing there. Here, let me fix it. And then puts her name in place of Mute.
She does?
Really?
On mine, she
I think she
removed the
does.
file.
Yeah, mine,
Like, I couldn't,
6
it
has
was
disappeared,
gone. Yeah.
Really? Maybe I imagined that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the Let's Play, it looks like Block 6 is just gone after that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think Honey is Mute. I think that she disabled Mute, but remember that they described Mute as the security AI for the spaceship. So if we had in fact talked directly to Mute, she might have killed us. So I'm not really feeling like I'm like worried about this. Like, I want to talk to the nice lady who's in control of the murder one. Like,
so I will say too, I did not show Hane block that I'd read that Block 6 doc. It's still available for me.
Oh.
yeah, I reloaded my save and didn't show it to her so I could keep the message.
I think you still get the log. I think you get the percent for it, but. Oh, folks at home who are reading too, because I've been warning everyone. Manual save for this game. No
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
I had the game crash at least once on me.
Really?
Yep.
Oh man, I'm gonna be careful. Put in too many hack commands into the terminal and you crash the game.
Yeah, that's why you can't try to hack SU too much. You get locked out. So
that's mysterious.
So that's
and
Block 6.
That's all we hear about Mute. Like, that's all, I think this whole reading, that's all we heard about Mute, was just that one entry.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of an off-the-cuff, oh, silly me, that's not supposed to be in there. Here, let me take it.
Yeah, and so we know that Kyung-sam was asking the security AI on the ship to, like, what's suspicious about this character called the Pale Bride. So something's going on.
And in that log, the Pale Bride is described as being, like, completely demure, passive, like, not... almost
the perfect
to the point
bride.
Almost to the point of not even having a personality.
So the next block that I read was block 9, which seems to be about the Kim family. And that is all of the entries by Kim Young-suk and Young-suk's wife. And that starts with him talking about a new heir. So Kim Young-suk is, he grew up, so the Kim family is not, like, a high-ranking family, but they, like, used to be nobility, is how he talks about it. They used to be nobility, but they grew up in poverty. Which
is this the guy that at some point, like, it didn't take him until he was like 16 to even realize he was part of a noble line?
Yeah.
Yeah, he finds out because his father passes away, and so it's just him and his mom, and then his cousin also passes away, and so he goes to live as his uncle Jungsu's replaced son.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
weird. Right. And who knows what happens to his mom? Whatever. This is like a weird feudal space place. And so she disappears. And so he goes to live with his uncle's family as their adopted son. And he's like talking to himself that he wants to fulfill his father's wishes and become a high magistrate, which I guess is like the high magistrate is like second only to the emperor. That's kind of the impression I get, like that there's a group of magistrates and then there's a high magistrate and then there's the emperor.
Yeah.
And so he's, so we have this guy who has this ambition to bring the Kim family up to its rightful place, and we already know that the Kim family does rise to power, and this is in 316, so that would be 6 years before everything happens. So all of the Kim family Block 9 entries all start with the new, and so there's the new heir, and then there's the new happiness, which is Young-suk's wife. 3 years later, is writing to her mother about her husband, and she talks about how she learned to read by watching him over his shoulder. So just, that's where we are. And she pointed out a mathematical error for him as when he was working so he's a magistrate, I guess, right now, or he's like some sort of guy.
Like an advisor to the magistrate
yet. He's some guy in that whole bureaucratic system. And she helped him find a mathematical error. And he pointed it out to the magistrate, and so then, like, this was like the turning point in their marriage where, like, he gained respect for her, and she's really proud that he respects her now, and but it was kind of like, I mean, it's at this point we don't know what year it is. But I thought it was not that bad. It was kind of sweet. Like, it was like, oh, this is like arranged marriages and all that stuff.
That Honey, when you present these logs to her to unlock more logs, she'll kind of comment on it, and her comment on everything thus far has just been that these people are fucking stupid, all of them.
Yeah, and then she also, at some point, if you ask, like, she's like, women were not taught to read in this society, and many of their messages were deleted right after they made them, which is the joke of this entire Let's Play, which is going to be that women's writing was deleted right after right after it was read, so that the hard drive space could be reused because women's words were not important, and if you have a dialogue option, and it's like, okay, or that's stupid, and if you say that's stupid, then Honey is like, I know, right? So, like, where's Honey from? Where is she from that she can look upon these logs and be like, this is stupid and like backwards?
Yeah,
that's strange to me. Like, how did she survive this whole time?
Yeah,
how did she survive through these 322 years, wherever she was stored? Is she from before, or how could she be from after? Because everyone's dead.
Now that you mention it, I didn't make that connection at all. Like, that is a very good question, though.
And also, like, in the beginning, it mentions, I think it calls her, or it says the last login was by Kim Hyune, or Kim Honey, depending on how we're saying it, and that was the login from 606 years beforehand. And I don't know if that's supposed to be referring to her, so she's part of the Kim family, or is this someone that she's based on?
Oh, yeah, that's what my theory is. But we'll get to that. We're almost there. Okay. We're almost to the Pale Bride.
Sure.
The next log is The New Friendship, which is another Kim Young-suk entry. where it talks about him being named in the year 321 as the successor to the next magistrate. And I guess I think. And then we also see, and I think that's basically it. I don't know. I don't want to spend too long on these. The next entry in 322 is called The New Magistrate, and it's by Young-suk's wife, and Young-suk is excited about his promotion, and he basically gets this promotion instead of Sang-min Smith. And that's the whole thing. Like, that's what Kyung-sam was talking about. Like, this is the moment that happened, and this is the guy who got the job instead of Sang-min. And so he's excited. Young-suk is excited, but his quote-unquote father, his adopted father, takes all the credit for his promotion because he's like, well, you didn't do this on your own. I did it because I gave the emperor his perfect new bride, who is being referred to as the Pale Bride. And then also, Young-suk's wife writes that, how long have they been married? A long time. He kisses his wife for the very first time that day.
So 7 years after they were married, I think, right? Because
something like that.
Oh, six years after they were married.
6 years.
Yep. And I guess from the age, she was 15 when they started, and... Oh, wait, no. Because the very beginning was 316, and then the thing where she's supposed to be 15 was 319. So by 321, she's 17.
Cool.
We can't escape.
In my notes, at this point, I wrote Christine in all caps, and a lot of my notes are like that. And so if you ask Honey about this, she says she thinks it's stupid to focus on the Pale Bride when she didn't even do anything wrong. And she didn't do anything but be handed to the emperor. Like, she's like, you should give Young-suk more credit, and she disagrees with the uncle who takes credit for it. So we've been introduced to the Pale Bride. Who is she?
I forget exactly which story you present to Hane, but when you show her, she mentioned if you want to learn more. I think she asked you, like, do you want to learn more about the Pale Bride?
Yeah, you read block 10, which is Ryu, the royal family, and then you have the option. You read one entry by Ryu Jaehwa, and then you have the option to learn more about the emperor's first wife or the emperor's second wife, and the second wife is the Pale Bride.
That's right, because the first wife can't bear him an heir, so...
Yeah, so we start with a letter from Ryu Jaehwa, who is writing to the Pale Bride, and she's kind of like...
That's right.
She's not really upset, like, she's sad, because, I mean, obviously, like, how could you not be, but she seems really practical about it, and she says that the Pale Bride's birth name is the password to the Emperor's computer, our Captain and Emperor. So, which makes me think at one point it was just Captain. So it's like if you know, Jean-Luc Picard became the Emperor of the Enterprise.
Yeah. Right.
So we know that now. And
it was kind of like a welcoming gesture thing, where it's like, this is such an honor. I'm going to change the password to your name in your honor.
Reading this, like, it's funny because I was looking for some kind of undercurrent of jealousy or... I don't know. You know what I mean?
She kind of is like, oh, I shouldn't feel bad about it, but she's taking it really well. Like, I feel like she's pretty happy with her place in life regardless.
It feels genuine, yeah. It feels like, this is great. You're going to be like my sister, and you're going to bear my husband, children, you know, all that fun stuff. And look at the gift, which then it's like, look at the gift he gave you by changing his password to your name.
I feel like she's kind of like, I don't know, maybe this is just me reading into it from how I would react to that situation, but I feel like she might be like, great, I don't have to have sex with him anymore. Yes! Now I just get to be a queen and not do anything.
Bullet dodged.
That sounds great.
Right, and that opens up block. So once I heard about the Pale Bride, that immediately became the character I wanted to learn more about.
Yeah, same
me
here.
too.
Yep.
Right. So once Block 5 got open, I was all over Block 5.
Yeah.
But
so yeah.
mhm.
Who wants to talk about Block 5? I'm talking too much. Somebody else talk about it.
I'm looking at my notes here. So Block 5,
This is all the Pale Bride's writing.
yeah, so I'm trying to think which one. So Block 5 is weird because we start with, I think it's Kim Jong-soo
Yeah.
talking about the Emperor asks him if he has any daughters or young brides that could bear him children. And while he doesn't, he says, this is kind of crazy, but we have an egg in our family that
there's a girl inside.
Yeah, there's a girl inside.
Girl in this egg. It turns. God, it fucking.
Don't
I'm
worry,
so
I'll just
mad.
give the Emperor my Yoshi egg. That'll be fine.
It's like one of those, I feel like maybe all of us probably had that sort of, what? Kind of thing when you read it, and he's
I definitely did
egg.
have to scroll back to that page and be like, he did say egg, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because before it was all like normal feudal like family drama stuff, and then there's this guy. Oh, I've got an egg that has like a child in it that
Yeah, so
has
it's like,
been
is there
passed down
magic?
through the generations.
Suddenly
there
it's
magic?
berserk.
But don't worry, there's no
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, she's pale, and during the inscription on this egg says she should be opened during a time of good fortune. Well, fuck it, I'm opening it for her.
Yeah,
I'm
he's like,
opening it now.
we make our own good fortune.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, the Emperor having an heir would lead to a time of good fortune, from their perspective.
Sure. Now here's the problem: is that the other blogs in it are from the Pale. The next blog is from the Pale Bride,
Yep.
who reveals, "Oops, I woke up. I was awoken from cryostasis."
Yeah, so this is, the Pale Bride's actually Koko Yagami. I'm really sorry, everyone.
No, it's not. No, because I know the Pale Bride's name. Thank you, and it's not Koko Yagami. So get the fuck out of here with that shit. No, but it's interesting then because finally you get a sci-fi character. Sort of, so you're like, oh,
she's from the future past, and she was put in cryostasis until a cure for her disease is found.
And these idiots open her up now because they're like, we need a daughter for the Emperor.
The dude's reasoning was like, the egg has always been with him, and it's like, don't open this until a time of great prosperity, because that get explains later. But dude's like, well, prosperity is taken, not just given. So he's just like, fuck it, I'm just opening it now.
So he takes a hammer and just smashes the egg open.
Oh my
I
God.
have to assume they don't describe how it's opened.
And she's like very clearly from our time. Like she's very clearly from just like normal, like, oh, I hang out, like later she talks about watching cartoons, she talks about Earth,
She talks about cosplay.
She talks about cosplay. She talks about stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and like, it's
and all
funny
her logs are about how everything sucks.
And like,
she's also 13.
She has that tone that you'd expect. Like, the future sucks, and like, everyone else is kind of reserved, and like talking like they're like actual, like whatever century. And then
the next log is from Young-suk's wife, and it's called "Insufferable Child," and it's very clear that the Pale Bride doesn't know about any of the gender roles in this society. And the Pale Bride, she can read, she wants to like read stuff and watch stuff and write stuff, and everyone's like shocked that she is doing all this stuff and doesn't know anything about how their society works. And Young-suk's wife also says that the Pale Bride, she claims to be sick, but Young-suk's wife can't see anything wrong with her. So, oh my God, they don't have even the medicine or knowledge that was there during her time.
They're just like, you're pale and skinny. That's perfect. That's what you want.
And she says like, I have an immune disorder, and they don't know what that is, and they think that she's like making up words.
Yeah, it must be maddening and terrible. Like, you feel bad.
That's terrifying. Like, that is
right?
a nightmare. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And she's
like,
13.
yeah, they're making it like Like, I'm sick. Well, no, you're not. The doctor says that you're not sick. Well, look at me. I'm, like, pale and thin. And the response is, oh, well, just brag about it a little harder, why don't you?
Yeah, they're like, they just, like, ignore her because they feel like she's just bragging about how pale and thin she is. And it's like, wow. Like, I was expecting, like, kind of maybe a horror character from The Pale Bride. It's like, shit,
She
like...
is a horror character, though, in a way. You know?
Right, but not
God.
Right. She's not coming out of the video screen or anything, though. She's, like...
Yeah,
it's more like...
In one of her logs, she mentions that she was put into cryostasis because she had this immunodeficiency thing. And the deal was, okay, we'll put you in there until we have the technology to cure your disease. And she gets out, and she kind of realizes, wait, that was a lie. This whole thing was a lie. Everything sucks.
Yeah. So as you read more about her, yeah, there's more stuff from 319, Held Prisoner, where she talks about her immune disease. As someone with a compromised immune system, this was very intense for me. Mm-hmm. She also becomes more and more aware that she's not seen as a person, but as some sort of like bargaining chip for the Emperor. There's another entry called Women's Quarters, written by the Pale Bride, and these are all like within the same year. These are all in 319, where she talks about that she's Korean. She knows how to read Korean. She talks about cartoons. She talks about Earth. She's from our time. She's from our time. And then I think as you read more and more stuff that she wrote, Honey interrupts to say, you're probably thinking at this point, like, what was this catastrophe that happened between the time the Pale Bride went into cryostasis and when she was awoken? And and Honey says, I don't know what it was either. I don't know.
You're just gonna have to accept that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all read the other sort of little bit that you get from of Ryu Jae-hwa and some stuff from Kim Young-suk and Young-suk's wife?
I'll tell you, I got a couple of interruptions, and we were supposed to read to the one where she specifically says, sorry for interrupting you, but there was one before that too where Hane just thanked me for being here.
Yeah, she's like, thanks for talking to me. I really appreciate it. And I was like, you're welcome.
It's like a really clingy Clippy.
I love her.
So it's funny though because actually let me credit the person. Professor Prof's Let's Play of this from SA. I used that to find like a kind of like a point where we should stop reading, and there's a point where again Hane's supposed to say what is it, like, sorry for interrupting, specifically.
Yeah, and she gives you a
say
choice.
before you keep looking at it now, before you keep going, can I just interrupt you for a couple minutes? Strange, that happened to me, but strangely, Jim, it just didn't happen to you, right? And
yeah, actually,
you just
now that we're discussing it, I think I just didn't get to that point. I think I stopped too early. Because I thought you said it should be after 2 blocks. Then I read the first 4 blocks. Then I got to the 5th block, and then at that point, I'm like, wait, I'm already through 5 blocks.
Oh, my
that's
apologies.
Okay. I just misunderstood.
Yeah, I think we all kind of hit a moment where we were like, is this enough?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I never ran into anything where she specifically interrupted me, but like if you are reading the logs, there's like a little text, like a little word balloon down at the bottom, and if Honey has something she wants to say to you, it'll like be glowing. Yeah. And then you can click on it or not click on it. I clicked on it, but I don't know if that's something you can just ignore.
I think you can definitely accidentally ignore it, for sure. Mm-hmm. Also. There's a couple other entries before the one that triggers the interruption, and it was just more stuff in block 9 that I got at this point, which maybe y'all got earlier, which was about what Kim Young-suk's early marriage was like, and like he thought his wife was bothering him all the time, and because she just really wants to help him do stuff, but he won't let her because the things he needs to do are not things that she knows how to do, like study. And so it kind of paints Kim Young-suk as kind of an asshole. Before that moment where him and his wife like had that moment of understanding where they started getting along more, they kind of were not happy, and probably because of the egg daughter. Also,
that's what they should name her instead.
Egg baby.
Egg baby.
Egg baby. Treat an egg baby good, you might get an award.
And there's another, and then you can get another bit from Ryu Jae-hwa, and the Emperor's first wife, and it's another bit about how she's talking more about her own sort of jealousy, but she's very much like controlling herself. She doesn't seem like she is going to end up being complicit in any sort of plot to kill the Pale Bride or anything like that. Then if you talk to Honey about it, she says, well, there was nothing for her to be afraid of. That fear was completely unfounded. Which I guess means that things turned out okay. I'm not sure.
It's an opinionated AI. I'm curious.
Yeah, she has very like she has similar opinions to the reader, I think. Like, she's from our time. Like, she looks at this and says, like, what is this? What's wrong with these people? Like, they're stupid.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Probably one of my favorite things about this is one of the Pale Bride entries. She's like going through classes to cook and clean and do all the womanly, wifely things that she's supposed to learn how to do. And she says, what's the point of this? Like, I don't get why I have to do this. Why can't I read things or go outside or do anything else but this? And it's this servant teaching her, and they're like, well, I hate to spoil the surprise, but it's for your marriage. And it's kind of mentioned that she's 15 at this point, and her response is, my what? Excuse me?
So the last Pale Bride entry that I read before I got interrupted was called Straight to Hell. And it's from the year 319, and the Pale Bride is writing about how she's starting to forget what life was like before, and so she feels like she has to keep writing things down so she doesn't lose her mind. She is at this, I guess in 319 she's still 13 years old, and so she's just starting to get the idea that she has to act totally differently in public versus how she feels privately inside. And so, and if we think back to the earlier entry where Mute talked about how perfect the Pale Bride was, obviously that's exactly what she started to do. She started to just completely fake it.
I see.
Yep.
And then Honey asked to interrupt, and that's it.
Did you? All right.
Was there anything else?
Okay.
Did I not write? Is there
I
some more
think you
entries that
covered
anybody else got?
At least everything I remember.
Yes, you definitely. I didn't get as much as you did before. I think the interruption must happen in Block 5. It seems like.
So I was just looking
Yeah.
at my my
Yeah,
save, and I have 18% unlocked.
Yeah, I have 15.
Okay.
Also, it's all a little different.
Yeah.
That's weird. I feel like I went back through and really clicked on everything.
I mean, I don't know. There's some stuff too you can. There's an indication of things you can show Honey, which is usually either grayed out or color, depending on if she has, And there's you can re-ask her questions where she'll say do you want to hear more about that? Oh, I don't have any more about. Or she'll say, do you want to hear more about the Pale Bride or about the mother-in-law? And at first I was like, this is a trick. I want to hear about the mother-in-law, and that's when she was like, sorry, women's logs got deleted.
I think
And
some
then
of that
you
leftover
can
percentage
get
might be
both.
from when you picked the go ahead story instead of the kind of side go nowhere option.
So
Yeah, because you can go back and because I asked her about both the Pale Bride and the Emperor's first wife, and I got those entries. So maybe there's another thing like that somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this more generally then. So how do you open question? How do you like Analogue so far?
It's a bit confusing. I'm still getting used to the larger cast and the names that are partially similar, mostly because they're just two different families. So, and almost always include the last name with them. So.
Yeah, I feel like you have to kind of just keep something that's like...
Yeah, I think next time I'm probably going to take notes, because this first time, I'm keeping the general story, especially with the Pale Bride and all that, but...
Why can't they do the Mario Galaxy thing where they just put little icons in there?
I don't remember the Mario Galaxy thing.
I'm really intrigued. I think it's cool because you know that everything fell apart at the end, and so you're reading this stuff and you like know something bad happens, and so you're like, who's the person who fucked it up?
Yeah, should we make predictions?
I'm gonna warn everybody, by the way, at home, there is of course the LP archive of this. Unfortunately, whoever did it decided to include a timeline of events, and just spoils the whole thing on page 1, which I accidentally saw while we were doing this, so...
Oh no.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Anyway, avoid that. I learned the hard way just now. But yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in what event caused things to regress like this, I guess is the way I want to put it. Because it is clear, well, I think, D-Vac, you put it right, the best way, because there was a point where the Pale Bride was diagnosed with some kind of immune disease, put into cryostasis, and then it's like, whatever happened at least 300 years or so later, they didn't even know what cryostasis was. They think she's like a girl in an egg.
Yeah. How did we pick two different visual novels where one of the key elements is that nobody knows what cryostasis means?
That's true.
I have the feeling 90% of visual novels.
Nobody knows what cryostasis means. It's up to you, viewers, to go out there and make sure that other people know what that word means.
Read up at your local library. Make informed cryostasis decisions.
So is it theory time? Or
Sure.
questions time? I think
why not?
we talked
I'd
about
say we can do a little theory crafting, yeah.
So we talked a little bit about this before, but I have a list of questions at the end of my notes, and we have who is Hyune? Why is she here instead of Mute? Why are her politics progressive compared to the society? Hyune must have survived from the time before everything happened. But why is she here now? Why is she in control? What happened to Mute?
I think we're going to be seeing more AIs beyond just Mute and Honey. That's just speculation, but I'm interested enough to see what else might be on the ship. But
I wonder how Honey got reactivated, and if perhaps it was the Pale Bride that either wrote her or activated her, found her, and just she could have been part of what caused this whole situation, because if she disabled Mute, she disabled the security system for the ship.
Yeah.
And if the security system is disabled, who knows what the Pale Bride might have done. From her circumstance, and her desperation, I would totally believe that she decided she was going to kill everyone on that ship by disabling the security system and opening the airlocks.
Or...
that would be something that I would be yeah, this person could have been driven insane and decided to kill everyone.
Yeah. Or the fact that whatever immune deficiency thing she has is able to be transmitted. And everyone gets it, and that's what kills everyone.
Right.
Well, but she's not degenerative. She just doesn't have an immune system. And because we haven't seen her, none of the entries talk about her being sick. So I do have to wonder,
But then why put her in cryostasis? Just to make her life easier when she comes out?
Well, at the time, there may have been more diseases on the ship, but since it has been this completely closed off place for 319 years. I don't know. It's possible that whatever that the things that she could get sick from aren't there. Yeah. It's all it's clean.
Yes, or until something else shows up.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be that everyone on the ship already has this same problem, but we don't know it yet because they've been in this closed ecosystem.
Yeah.
I'm more focused on, I don't know how, I don't know if there was some kind of like civil war kind of thing on the ship, and for some reason everyone is like, okay, we're going back to how things used to be, and I mean way back.
I feel like there was some kind of fascist takeover on this ship, right?
Yeah. Right.
And somebody, like a group of people,
a big orange guy took over.
Wonder where you got that.
I don't know why that would be on your mind. Right.
A group of people decided that they were going to enact this sort of dictatorial, like this emperor system, as like instead of a captain, we're going to have an emperor. And then they, 300 years passed, so enough generations passed that after 2 or 3 generations, nobody knew the way that it used to be, because those people had died, and also they had made the decision that they weren't going to tell anyone. Yeah. That's how I imagine that whole sort of thing like unfolding. That like, but why someone would choose to do that on a spaceship doesn't really make any sense.
It could be that at that certain point, maybe they don't even realize that they're on a ship anymore.
Yeah, because it seems like the way they talk about it,
I wonder if they know that they're on a spaceship.
Like with the idea of farming,
like they have farms and shit.
Well, I know space colonies, they talk about like having like agricultural rings and things like that.
Yeah,
where
but
like
there have to be windows out into space, but maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think you can grow shit hydroponically, so it is possible that it's all just... I mean, it's weird, though, because you'd think somebody would make mention of being in some kind of vessel or something. Like, either you see stars outside the window or,
But they do talk about, like, in the one entry where they talk about, like, the magistrate taking out the one guy for dinner, right? So they go to, like, a public house. And they say that they go to the Grand, the Grand Plaza, the Grand Festival or whatever.
Plaza,
and there's these stark white corridors that lead into this thing that really opens up. So clearly they still have the structure of a ship. But like because of this whole loss of knowledge, they may just not know that isn't the way the world should be.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Because like somehow they lost the knowledge of like, immune deficiency, but they retain the idea of what an AI is, which is some selective freaking learning shit. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, they know computers. They know what computers are and how they work.
They know, and they don't know InfoSec very well, because that's like the gift is I changed my password.
Yeah, that's the thing. He had to have known what a password was, so they have to know that they're on some kind.
Not really.
They have to know the concept of a password.
It's very similar to grandparents.com.
And they have to know about hard drive space. So at some point they ran out of hard drive space and were like, well, we're just going to delete all the women's messages.
They have it seems like they kind of just have this very rudimentary grasp on the technology, but in the sort of the way of, that's just how that particular thing works and nothing really beyond that.
Oh, another thing, when the Pale Bride, before I get into my theories, she talks about she's trying to look for things to read, and she can't find anything to read that's written in Korean. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what she said things were written in.
It was all written in Chinese.
Chinese, yeah. So, all the names in this are Korean, except for Smith. English. But all the names are Korean, but they don't write in Korean.
That's weird. Although
it is,
because it's the Unified Korea Space Probe Agency. So, like, at what point did Korea unify, and who was in control at that point? If we're talking about a North Korea taking over South Korea under the auspices of China,
right?
I don't know.
So that was a weird bit there. But yeah, my theory, from what we've seen so far on, and I think we can all we're all kind of getting this idea, is that that Honey is somehow based on the Pale Bride, that the Pale Bride is also Hyune Kim. Like, that's what I think. That was like my first inclination, is I was
either
like,
based on or written by.
She like maybe the father, who, because we know that the Pale Bride is a Kim, because she's a ancestor of the Kims, and she is like, I don't know, and that AI is progressive in the way that she thinks, so she was obviously written earlier. She could have been written like, you know, this guy, he froze his daughter, he made this AI look like her so that he would be reminded of her because he knew that he wouldn't ever get to see her again. Something like that, maybe.
Or like one of those concepts where like somehow they have the technology where you can sort of like upload your consciousness as an AI. Like you can copy yourself.
It could have been based on her, in a more direct way. And then it also makes me wonder if the Pale Bride discovering, like we said, like I was talking about before, discovering honey is what led to this catastrophic event. I don't know, it's
yeah, I'm gonna
really
say that she's
fascinating.
Yeah, she's at least a player in what happened here, or her immunodeficiency thing. You know, she dies, and then the magistrate probably just flips out and starts a war.
Oh, the emperor? You think that she died? She died in 322, and then the emperor flipped out and killed everyone?
Maybe.
I feel like she must learn about what happened. Like, maybe we don't get to know, but she must have learned what that catastrophic event was. And you know what that also brings to mind, how the Smiths are in power and the Kims are disgraced, but they said they used to be nobility. It almost makes me wonder, like, what kind of nobility? Like, before this event, was Kim, like, was so-and-so Kim, like, one of the commanders on this ship who was against whatever happened?
That could be it. Yeah.
And then Smith was, like, the one that was like, no, Smith and Ryu were like, no, we're taking it over and we're going to do it this way.
Maybe the act of preserving your daughter through cryogenic stasis was some kind of rebellion.
Yeah, or he was like, he knew everything was going to go to hell in a way that his, 13-year-old daughter was not totally aware of.
Oh, it's a Superman thing.
So he was, it was a Superman, it was a real Superman move.
Nice.
So yeah, he could have just put his daughter in there saying, look, things are going to be really messed up for a while, but I'm going to leave a little note here. It says, open in ages of great prosperity, and I'm sure that'll just work out fine.
Unless they misread it, because it's in Korean and they all read Chinese now. I mean, I know it's not the same character set or anything, but it is possible. He's like, that must mean that, it's just complete ignorance.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been just, like, open when you have a cure for
prosperity.
Yeah, but like, it was passed down orally.
We're working on one
It was passed down orally as, like, a legend they talk about. So, like, the inscription could have been more specific, but the oral legend was eventually passed down as open.
It's a massive game of telephone.
Hey, you want to buy this egg, baby? Like, yeah, sure. I bought an egg, baby.
That's the episode title.
Hey, you want to buy?
I got an egg baby in Brooklyn, right over there. You can buy it yourself.
Egg baby for sale.
We're in ancient Korea or something. I don't know. If the emperor wants a daughter, I got an egg baby right here.
For sale. Egg baby shoes never worn.
This is a Rolex egg baby. This is high quality egg baby.
How do you want your egg baby? Over easy? I can make it over easy for you.
You need an emperor. What are you gonna get it out of a person? No, you get her out of an egg. That's quality emperor daughter or wife, whatever.
Oh my god. Yeah, and also it's hard to conceptualize, but yeah, all of the wives in this who are writing things, they're all like 16. Like, they talk about when the Pale Bride is old enough to marry the Emperor is when she's 16, which was in 322, and she was 13.
Couldn't have had his egg on, and You couldn't have had us end on the funny egg baby derail, huh? We had to go right to child brides again. Thanks,
well,
D-Back.
it's I forgot, and then earlier when like I was reading it as like, oh, these are like middle-aged women, and then earlier one of y'all was saying something about how one of these women is 17, and I was like, oh, that's right. So now I've like been reprocessing all of it as something that teens are writing.
Now, I will say this. I don't have a section to read to just yet. I'll add that to the podcast description and email y'all before next Monday, obviously. But I'll give you the cliffhanger, which is next time, pretty soon, we are going to learn the Pale Bride's name. So, ooh, on that one. Yeah. And so please tune in next time for that. Thanks for listening, everybody.
This podcast brought to you by the Egg Society.
We're gonna edit that out.
Turn your egg, baby.
All right. Stop recording.